Every single day, more than 50,000 people are told they have kidney disease, and almost none of them ever saw it coming. Now, let me ask you what, if that person was you, what would go through your mind first? Most likely, you'd wonder, how serious is this? Can it be fixed? Here's the problem. If you walk into a doctor's office today, in most cases you're going to hear something along the lines of, "There's nothing we can do." Kidney disease is a chronic condition, and it usually only gets worse. But is that the whole truth? I don't think so, because here's the real story. 99% of early kidney disease cases can actually be reversed. And yet, most people never hear this because the system is built around repeating what's always been taught, rather than digging into the actual root causes of kidney problems in the first place. So today, let's break it down together. We'll talk about what kidney disease really is, what causes it, and why you may have more control over it than you've ever been told. The different causes of kidney disease first. Let's look at the possible reasons someone might develop kidney disease. Yes, you can have a genetic defect in your kidneys. That's rare, but it does happen. And in those cases, there's not a lot you can do to change your genes. But outside of that, there are other big factors. Infections that damage the kidneys, autoimmune attacks, where your own immune system mistakenly harms kidney tissue, kidney stones, kidney cancer, toxicity, where harmful substances build up and stress the kidneys, and of course, hypertension, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If we draw a line, everything above it like genetics you can't really control, but everything below that line, those are factors you can influence through lifestyle, habits, and choices. And here's the good news. The two biggest drivers of kidney disease, insulin resistance and high blood pressure, actually account for about 75% of all cases of early kidney disease. And both of these are things you have a lot of power over. Understanding the stages of kidney disease. So how do we measure kidney health? Doctors use something called the estimated glomerular filtration rate, or eGFR. It's a calculation based on creatinine in your blood, and it tells us how well your kidneys are filtering waste. Here's the breakdown of the stages. Stage 1, eGFR is 90 or above. This is considered optimal kidney function. Stage 2, eGFR drops below 90, but is still above 60. Stage 3A, between 60 and 45. Stage 3B, between 45 and 30. Stage 4, between 30 and 15. Stage 5, below 15. That's kidney failure where dialysis or a transplant becomes necessary. Now, here's something you need to know about blood tests. Stage 1, no flag. That makes sense. But here's the crazy part. Stage 2 doesn't get flagged either. Even though you're already starting to lose kidney function, it won't be marked as a problem on your test. You won't see that red warning until you drop below 60, which is already stage 3. So even though medical guidelines agree that optimal function should be above 90, you won't get any official warning until you under 60. That's a massive gap where early detection and early action could make all the difference. Why the naming doesn't make sense. Here's another strange thing. Why in the world is stage 1 even called chronic kidney disease? Think about it. Stage 1 is normal kidney function. You're healthy, yet the system labels it a chronic disease before there's even a real problem. And once you slip to stage 2, they still don't treat it as a red flag. Doctors usually don't even bring up kidney health until you're well into stage 3. To me, that's backwards, because stages 1, 2, and 3 are still early, and these are the stages where you have the best chance to reverse damage and restore kidney health. Standard treatment. What usually happens? So, what happens if you're diagnosed? Stage 1, nothing, no treatment. Stage 2, still nothing, even though you're clearly heading in the wrong direction. Stage 3A. Now doctors usually start giving medications, typically blood pressure meds if your pressure is high, and metformin or insulin if you're showing signs of type 2 diabetes. But notice something important here. These treatments don't actually target the kidneys themselves. They're simply medications for the associated conditions: high blood sugar, insulin resistance, and high blood pressure. From stage 3B through stage 4, the approach doesn't change much. More meds for blood sugar, more meds for pressure, but nothing that truly heals the kidney. And then comes stage 5. At this point, your only options are dialysis or a transplant. Why so many diagnoses come late? Remember when I mentioned those 50,000 new cases each day? Well, here's the kicker. Those numbers don't even include people in stage 1 or stage 2, because they're not being told they have kidney disease yet. Most of the people who get that diagnosis are already in stage 3A or stage 3B. By the time you reach stage 4 or 5, you already know something is seriously wrong because the symptoms become impossible to ignore. And that's why most people get blindsided, it isn't caught or even mentioned until it's already progressed. The flawed idea of chronic, let's talk about the name for a second. It's called chronic kidney disease, right? Built right into the name is the assumption that it's lifelong, that it can't improve. But here's the problem. When you're resitting in stage 1 with healthy kidney function, they still call it chronic disease. When you slip into stage 2, you're still labeled as having a chronic, irreversible condition, even though, in reality, those early stages can absolutely be reversed. This is one of the biggest flaws in our sick care model. The system focuses on treating symptoms, not on asking the real questions. Where did this come from, and what can we do to change it? Root causes we need to understand, so let's take a step back. Where does kidney disease really come from? We already covered the less common causes: genetics, infections, autoimmune issues, and cancer. Those are out there, but they're relatively rare. Even in those cases, though, lifestyle still matters. If you were born with only one kidney, or if you've battled infections or cancer, the way you take care of your body still affects how well that kidney functions. Healthier choices mean better resilience, but for most people, the root causes boil down to 4 main culprits. 1. High insulin and insulin resistance. 2. Poor diet, especially processed junk food. 3. Chronic dehydration. 4. Medication overuse. And if you can avoid these, or address them early, you can prevent or even reverse the majority of kidney disease. So let's dive into these 4 major root causes of kidney disease, because once you understand them, you'll see just how much control you really have. Root cause number 1. High insulin and insulin resistance. The number 1 driver of kidney damage is high insulin levels, which almost always lead to insulin resistance over time. Here's how it works. When your body is exposed to too much insulin, your cells stop responding to it the way they should. That forces your pancreas to pump out even more insulin to try to compensate. Over time, this creates a vicious cycle where your blood sugar starts climbing higher and higher, and your insulin levels stay elevated all the time. Now, what happens when you live in this state of insulin resistance? High blood sugar becomes your norm. Chronic inflammation builds up in your body. High blood pressure often develops right alongside it, and all 3 of these, high sugar, inflammation, and high pressure, work together to physically damage your kidneys. Remember, the kidneys are filled with millions of tiny filtering units called tubules. When those tubules get injured repeatedly, your body tries to repair them with scar tissue, but scar tissue doesn't work like healthy tissue. It doesn't filter properly. Over time, more scarring means less kidney function. That's why insulin resistance sits at the very top of the list. It's the biggest domino that knocks over everything else. Root cause number 2. Junk food and processed diets. The second big culprit is poor diet, especially processed and packaged foods. Let's talk about one of the kidney's main jobs: balancing electrolytes. This means making sure that minerals like sodium and potassium stay in the right ratio. In nature, foods are designed beautifully. Whether you eat fruits, vegetables, or animal products, real whole foods naturally contain much more potassium than sodium. They also come with magnesium, calcium, and other trace minerals that keep everything balanced. But when you start eating processed foods, chips, fast food, packaged snacks, the picture flips upside down. Suddenly, sodium levels are sky high, while potassium and magnesium are almost non-existent. And it's not just table salt. Food companies add sodium in all kinds of hidden forms, like sodium phosphates, sodium nitrites, and sodium benzoate. These pile up quickly and create an imbalance your kidneys have to work overtime to manage. Now, let me be clear. Sodium itself is not the enemy. If you're eating whole foods, adding some salt to your meal is fine. The real issue is the lack of balance in processed foods. Too much sodium, not enough potassium or magnesium. That's what stresses your kidneys. And this imbalance becomes even more dangerous in the later stages of kidney disease, when the kidneys can't process electrolytes properly anymore. That's why people with stage 3B, 4, or 5 are often told to limit sodium and potassium. But the truth is, if you catch it early, you can prevent this imbalance from ever becoming a problem. Root cause number 3. Chronic dehydration. The third root cause is something most people overlook. Dehydration. Your kidneys are basically your body's filtration system. And just like any filter, they need enough liquid to work properly. When you don't drink enough water, your body fluids become too concentrated. This means higher levels of toxins and waste products, which makes the kidney's job much harder. Over time, this stress can contribute to kidney damage, and it also raises your risk of kidney stones. But here's something you might not know. How you hydrate matters just as much as how much you drink. If you drink plain water in large amounts without any minerals or electrolytes, you actually start to dilute your body's electrolyte pool. That can leave you deficient in important minerals like magnesium and potassium. And when that happens, the kidneys have to work extra hard to recycle and conserve whatever electrolytes are left. That's why you hear so much talk these days about electrolytes, not just in sports, but also in health. Electrolyte balance is key for energy, for muscle function, and yes, for kidney health. But be careful, not all electrolyte drinks are created equal. Many of the popular ones are just glorified salt water. They're packed with sodium, but low on everything else. What you actually need is a balanced mix of sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and even small amounts of trace minerals like zinc and manganese. When you hydrate smart with water plus proper electrolytes, you take a huge load off your kidneys and support their natural function. Root cause number 4. Overuse of medications. The fourth major cause is one we don't talk about enough. Medications. Think about how many people treat over-the-counter drugs like candy, popping pain relievers every day, taking antacids without thinking, or cycling through antibiotics multiple times a year. The problem is, many of these medications are directly toxic to the kidneys. Let's break it down. NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, like ibuprofen and naproxen, reduce blood flow to the kidneys. And remember, the kidney not only filters blood, it also needs that blood supply to feed and repair itself. Cut off the flow, and you starve the organ of the nutrients it needs. Antacids and proton pump inhibitors (PPs) can trigger immune reactions that inflame kidney tissue. They also interfere with mineral absorption, particularly magnesium, which throws off your electrolyte balance even further. Antibiotics, certain types, are directly toxic to the delicate tubules in the kidney. They can even damage the mitochondria inside kidney cells, reducing the organ's ability to make energy and heal itself. So when you look at the big picture, it's not hard to see how our modern lifestyle full of processed food, constant stress, poor hydration, and casual medication use creates the perfect storm for kidney problems. The hopeful side: reversing early kidney disease. Now, I don't want this to sound all doom and gloom. Here's the part that most people don't realize. If you address these 4 root causes early on, you can prevent most cases of kidney disease. And if you're still in the early stages, stage 1, 2, or 3, you can often reverse it completely. How? By targeting the real issues instead of just masking the symptoms. Lower your blood sugar and insulin. Cut down on processed carbs and eat real whole foods. You don't have to go extreme keto, but you do need to keep carbs low enough to stabilize your sugar and insulin. Manage your blood pressure naturally. Most high blood pressure is driven by insulin resistance, stress, and mineral imbalances, not by a medication deficiency. Start by replenishing magnesium and potassium, and add stress-reducing habits like breathing exercises or meditation. Hydrate smart. Drink water, yes, but also make sure you're getting electrolytes in the right balance. Whole foods help, and if needed, use a supplement that covers more than just sodium. Protect your kidneys from toxins. Be mindful of household chemicals, cleaners, and medications. Only take what's absolutely necessary, and always check with your doctor before changing prescriptions. When you build these habits, you not only protect your kidneys, you also protect your heart, your brain, and your overall health. Because kidney disease doesn't happen in isolation. It's connected to the bigger picture of how your body handles blood sugar, blood pressure, and inflammation. And this is exactly why I push back so hard against the label chronic kidney disease. Because if you make the right changes early enough, it doesn't have to be chronic. It doesn't have to be permanent. Alright, so now that we understand the root causes of kidney disease, let's talk about what you can actually do. Because knowledge without action doesn't change your health. The good news: these steps are simple. They don't require. Step 3. Hydrate the smart way. Yes, drink water, but don't stop there. You also need to replenish electrolytes. Remember, the kidneys thrive when sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium are all in balance. That's why drinking plain water all day without minerals can actually make things worse. Over time it dilutes your electrolytes and forces your kidneys to work harder. So how do you hydrate properly? Start with a base of clean water. Add foods rich in electrolytes, leafy greens, avocados, nuts, seeds, and fruits like berries. If you use an electrolyte supplement, make sure it's balanced. Look for one that has not just sodium, but also potassium, magnesium, calcium, and trace minerals. When you hydrate this way, your kidneys don't have to struggle. They can focus on filtering waste instead of scrambling to recycle electrolytes. Step 4. Eat a wide variety of whole foods. Your kidneys and, really, your entire body do best when they get a broad spectrum of nutrients. That means variety. The more types of vegetables, proteins, and healthy fats you eat, the more complete your nutrition becomes. And don't forget your microbiome, the community of bacteria in your gut. A diverse diet feeds a healthy microbiome, which in turn reduces inflammation and supports kidney function. So instead of eating the same 3 meals every day, mix it up. Rotate your vegetables, try different proteins, and include nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. Step 5. Minimize toxins and unnecessary medications. This one is huge. The kidneys are sensitive organs, and they carry the burden of processing everything that enters your bloodstream. That includes not just food, but also cleaning products, environmental chemicals, and especially medications. So here's what you can do. Switch to gentler, non-toxic cleaners in your home. Use personal care products with fewer synthetic chemicals. Only take medications when they're truly necessary. If you're on a prescription, always talk to your doctor before making changes, but don't treat over-the-counter drugs like candy. Personally, I haven't needed regular medication in decades, and that's because I've built a lifestyle that keeps my body balanced. The less toxic load you put on your kidneys, the longer they'll serve you well. Step 6. Build lasting habits. Here's something important. None of these steps work if they're just quick fixes. You don't lower your blood sugar for a week and expect your kidneys to heal. You don't take one supplement and suddenly erase years of damage. It's about consistent habits. Day after day, small changes add up to big results. Choose real food most of the time. Drink water with electrolytes daily. Make stress reduction part of your routine. Be mindful about what you put into your body. If you do these things, you don't just slow kidney disease, you create the conditions for your kidneys to regenerate and restore function. Kidney disease doesn't happen in isolation. It's connected to your entire metabolic health. When you lower insulin resistance, manage blood sugar, and balance electrolytes, you're not just protecting your kidneys, you're also lowering your risk of heart disease, stroke, and even cognitive decline. So this isn't about one organ. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your whole body. I know it can feel overwhelming to hear a diagnosis like kidney disease, but I want you to remember this. Early kidney disease does not have to be permanent. You have more control than you've been told. You can take steps today to support your kidneys, reverse early damage, and prevent progression to later stages. And here's the key: start early. Don't wait until you're in stage 3B or 4, when options are limited. If you're in stage 1, 2, or 3A, that's your window. That's when lifestyle changes are the most powerful.